What is going on, y'all? Narang here from Locks DFS.com, and I will be breaking down this 5-game main slate on DraftKings and FanDuel for Thursday, April 18th. Before I get into that, though, if you guys can go ahead and leave a like and comment on this video, not only would it mean a lot for me, but you'll be entered into winning a free season pass of your choice. I announce the winner of this giveaway every single Monday. All you got to do is leave a like, leave some comments. If you leave them consistently on the more videos you leave comments on, the higher the likelihood that I see it. And pick you as the winner. So go ahead and do that. And if you are interested in joining the team to get some access to our content, it's locksdfs.com/shop. But with that being said, very simple, short 5-game slate. There was a split slate today, 4-game early, which we provided for our members. We had content out for you guys. We're talking about it in the Slack chat, watching those games right now on the monitor. And then we had this 5-game main slate. We broke it down in a podcast that if you guys want to check out, you can check out the YouTube video prior to this. We broke down the early slate, not that useful information anymore, but we also broke down this main slate in more depth than I'm going to get into in this video. But we'll jump right into it. So very weak pitching slate. Obviously the highest price pitcher is 9.1K, which I don't recall seeing the highest price pitcher being 9.1K. At any point this season, so it's good. It's pretty simple. My favorite high price pitcher is going to be Chris Paddack. He's just an exciting rookie. 2.98 xFIP to righties, 4.75 to lefties, K'ing over a batter per 9, doing a little better at home. Projected by most to be one of the better starters in the league, and that being in his rookie year is all the more impressive. The Reds opened at a 3.5 team total and have since dropped to 3.1 with heavy line movement in San Diego's favor, but also pretty heavy line movement on the under in this game. 51% of bets placed on the over, yet it's dropped by half a run. So Chris Paddack, when you compare that total to the rest of this slate, he's going to be your consensus SP1, and I think your consensus SP2 is going to be Tanner Roark. Both these guys projecting for real high ownership, just based on these ownership projections I've been looking at prior to noon, but I anticipate that'll hold true. The same thing, you can really look at the same movement on the under for reasons to play Tanner Roark. And then when you couple that with the fact that Tanner Roark throughout his whole career has been pretty good on right-handed bats, and that's carried over into this year. He's got a 3.1 xFIP to righties and a 9.9 K per 9. Both real good numbers, and he generates a decent, not too much hard contact, 34%, not too bad. And that's irrelevant in this matchup because this Padres lineup, as we know, they typically only roll out one left-handed bat, and that's Hosmer. Sometimes they'll throw Francisco Mejia, who's a switch-hitting catcher out here. So he could make it 2 left-handed bats, but primarily they are 7 right-handed bats in a pitcher spot, which is ideal for a guy like Tanner Roark. So definitely think that's going to be the pitchers duo of this slate. So loading up on those guys is probably my top option. Not even really any GPP guys I feel too comfortable recommending. I think Chris Stratton might get some ownership as a cheap guy that lets you afford a lot of Coors bats. But I just am not too interested in going there, especially with this much movement on the over in that game. Makes me more interested in the Mariners and the Angels as well. So with that being said, let's move on to bats because there's a lot of bats to talk about on this slate. I guess the first thing we should mention is the fact that, yes, this is a Coors Field slate. So as you can see, team total over-under opened at 10.5 and has since risen to 11. Positive line movement on both these guys, or both these teams' implied team totals, 5.4 to 5.7 for Philly, 5.3 to 5.5 for Colorado. And I don't really see any reason to disagree with that. Kyle Freeland, a guy that's not a bad pitcher, but he is substantially worse versus righties, 4.91 xFIP, walks his fair share of guys, and has been giving up hard contact at a decent clip, around 40%. And Zach Eflin, 2018 numbers, he had a 4.32 xFIP to lefties, 1.46 home runs per 9, to go along with a 31% hard contact rate and a 41% fly ball rate. So when it comes to these teams, you're going to want to primarily look at the lefties or prioritize the lefties on Colorado, although every hitter is a plus hitter in this spot. But, I like the top of the order with Blackman. I like Tapia at 4.2K. If Garrett Hampson cracks the lineup, I'm a huge fan of him at 3.9K. Anytime that you can get cheaper exposure to this game, I am all for it. And then on the other side of this game, speaking of cheaper exposure, Scott Kingery is 4K. Project him to be fairly chalky, hitting in Coors. Dude has been raking this year. He just homered last night off of Zach Wheeler as well. So big fan of him. And then you might see Aaron Altair crack the lineup here. If he was batting 8th, I won't be as high on him, but I still think he's a great play just to get some more Coors Field exposure. And he is a guy that mashes lefties pretty well. And then there's a few other spots to talk about. I mean, there's a lot. I mean, just based on there being not a lot of pitching options, there's going to be a lot of hitting options on this slate. Both sides of this game are very interesting, but I'm not going to get into it. You guys can check out the podcast. We do talk about that game on the pod. The other spot I'll talk about, though, is the Tampa Bay Rays versus Andrew Cashner. Andrew Cashner, a guy that we've just been picking on for a long, long time, and it's going to continue through this year. He's got a 6.32 xFIP to righties and a 6.02 xFIP to lefties with a hard contact rate of about 48%, 50% to righties, and 44% to lefties. Just all around bad numbers. Tampa's opened up with a 5.3 team total, which I think is fairly in line with what we were expecting on the pod last night. This is where they opened up versus David Hess, and they absolutely wrecked David Hess. So we could see more of the same there. And I think your typical build, if you do plug in guys like Paddock and Roark, is going to leave you with about, 4,200 per bat. So you're going to want to get some guys that are underneath that price so that you can afford a lot of these Coors bats. And I think you're getting guys like that in G-Man Choi, who's still 3.7K for whatever reason. Yandy Diaz, 4.1K, another good value that you can look towards. Just to get some cheap exposure to a really high team total team. So with that being said, guys, it's a really simple slate, so really not too much to talk about. So that'll go ahead and do it. I'll go ahead and give you guys my home run calls, though. So I made them on the video last night, so I'll go ahead and just reiterate them for this video. The low price home run call was Scott Kingery for me. 4K or lower. Just love the spot for him in Coors Field versus a lefty. And for Christian on last night's pod was G-Man Choi. Think that's another great spot. I already talked about him in detail. And then our high price guys, mine was Mike Trout, 5.7K. I'm not a BVP guy in the least unless it's Mike Trout versus Felix Hernandez or Paul Goldschmidt versus Tim Lincecum. Mike Trout has got this 80-plus game sample size where he's got hitting like 387 with 8 home runs versus Felix. And Mike Trout's got good BVP versus everyone, but I'm going to ride with him as the high-price guy. And I believe Christian's high-price guy was Cody Bellinger, which if you want to see more detail on the rest of these batters, please do check out the podcast. I think you guys will really enjoy it. Because personally, just me speaking on my own experience, I like long form content more than sort of quick content. I get the need for quick content, but I just love it when guys go in depth and really explain to me stuff. So if you do want that, we do that on the podcast, so go ahead and check that out. But yeah, with all that being said, guys, thank you so much. Make sure to leave a like and comment on this video if you did enjoy. I hope you guys win a ton of money tonight, and I will see y'all tomorrow. Peace.